Good morning. It is Thursday. How are you? Good to see you. Kirsten Liebelt. So good to see you guys. How are you? So let me know if you're on the replay. Let me know where you're coming in from. I always like to know. I feel like there's a filter on TikTok and none that I'm aware of. Let me see here if I can. Okay, I hope I didn't mess that up. I might have messed that up a little bit. Okay. Good morning. Good to see you guys. All right. So, how are you doing today? How is your week going? So, yesterday was halfway through the week. How is your week going? It's so interesting to me because I used to always just kind of, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I basically turned back around my own insulin resistance naturally. A little over 10 years ago, I started working on that process. And so now that's what I teach: insulin resistance, targeted supplementation, and food ingredient trade-outs. My dad died of type 2 diabetes. That's where this all comes from. And he was only 63. So, it's so interesting because when I look at, kind of like my life and how things have gone in terms of like my own routines or my own habits, etc. Like, I would never think, oh, like maybe I should think about like how am I doing halfway through the week, or like how should I assess like the day, like win the day, and then maybe in a couple of days, how am I doing halfway through the week, and then like because you're just mindlessly on a river, and so I was never this really disciplined person that paid attention to all of that. And so now I find it kind of funny that I think about that, and like I ask you guys that question, like, okay, it's halfway through the week, how you doing? It's like, wow, like you really can lift yourself into a completely different place. And it's literal. I love the book The Compound Effect, you guys. Does anybody know what the compound effect is? Have you ever heard of that? It is such a good book, and what it will teach you is, I'm sure you can get it on Amazon, Audible, whatever. It'll teach you how little daily actions over time, they don't just add up like 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4. Actually, it's like compound interest on your money, where instead it'll go like this. There will be an upswing at some point where you have massive results, and you can apply that to any area of your life, your health, like if you're building a business, if you are like anything that you're trying to accomplish. So the compound effect is an excellent book, FYI. Okay, so it's really good to see you guys. I am here at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, unless I'm traveling. I have to make that as a distinction. Because like now, next week, I'll be Monday through Thursday because I will be gone a day. Thank you so much for liking the live. I appreciate you guys on TikTok. You really do help a lot because it's a little bit of a different universe over on the Tickety Talk. You have to, you actually have to like perform in order to get other people to see your information and to get out into the FYP. So I wonder if there's something weird going on with my Facebook. I'll wait and see. But I didn't want to miss out here. So if you're on the replay, just let me know where you're coming in from. That would be great. And the challenge in the group starts next Monday. Starts on the 11th of November. 5-day free challenge every month. This is our 18th one. Like, you don't want to miss out on getting tools in your toolbox, learning your ingredient trade-outs, all of those good things. Because I'm telling you, good morning, Lisa. Good to see you. I'm telling you, you really can, over time, just keep on making these incremental changes and just get results of bringing down your sugars, bringing down your insulin, your fasting insulin, bringing down your weight. Everybody wants to bring down their weight. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about seed oils. And again, everything is so interconnected when it comes to insulin resistance. And this is no different. And I remember doing a reel one time about Maria Emmerich. Do you guys know who Maria Emmerich is? Good morning, Carol. Happy Thursday. Can you believe it? We're like barreling into Thanksgiving. Barreling. Oh my stars, it's coming so fast. My children are talking about they want us to smoke a brisket. So I have a feeling we're not going to do turkey this year, which makes me very happy. I would rather do a brisket. But anyway, okay, I digress. Talking about the connection between seed oils, and Maria Emmerich was talking about the seed oils and type 2 diabetes. And she was saying she actually believes that seed oils are a bigger issue than sugar. And that just sparks so much controversy, right? And I'm not even saying that like I understand what she's saying. I'm just like relaying the information. And I find this to be really fascinating because we do have to look at all factors. This is not a one level conversation of, one facet. It's multifaceted. It's many different things. And so I feel like that's maybe why we feel very overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I have to change everything. Like, life sucks. I can't do this. And that's just not true. But it is like, we're one step at a time. Okay. And that's a part of why, like, I do the challenge every month. In the group is called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. You can be in a completely different place by January. You can do 2025 completely differently, just saying. So, all right. Good morning, Joanne from Arizona. Good to see you. Oh, Arizona. See, I've been there more than once. Very lovely, nice and warm. You've seen quite a few times. I am always on your feed, but you've tried to figure out what. Say that again. What are you trying to figure out? What my name is, or what my handle is? Tell me what you're thinking. And if you do need to, and you're not knowing how, go up to I think you can hit my profile right up here. And then it looks like this. I put this here so that you guys can readily see stuff, because TikTok is different. So you've seen quite a few times. I'm always on your feed, but you try to figure out what you're at. Oh, what I sell and promote. Okay. So very good question. Basically, over 10 years ago, I started with targeted supplementation to turn around my insulin resistance. So I've gone from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive using targeted supplementation. I generally talk about the trio, which are 3 supplements that help you with insulin sensitivity. And because I did that, I've lost 3 sizes in my 50s. And that's a big deal because it was after my cycle stopped. So yeah, so that they look like this. That's what they look like. Easy, 3 times a day. And then these 2 twice a day. Anybody who wants to see testimonies on the trio, like TikTok, go up here and you can see my IG portal. There's a pink highlight bubble at the top of there, and you can look at testimony after testimony after testimony. Most of them are only from 2024. Like, they're all fresh. So that is where people are able to get their sugars down, their insulin down, and their weight down, etc. And then I talk a lot about resetting your gut. And I have a gut primer and a probiotic for that. But that's a very, very narrow conversation. Like, that's a little piece of the puzzle, because we kind of come at this from a lot of different things, but that's the basics. And basically I have a Facebook page that will teach ingredient trade outs, and that will teach recipes. And we're going to start to do that next week. Hey, if you guys are in the group, tell me what recipe you want me to make next week, because I'm going to do the 5-day challenge. We're going to do it in 4 days, and I'm going to make a recipe, and I want it to be applicable for the holidays. So last year I did a pumpkin roll, and it was very beneficial for everybody to be able to make a treat that you can take with you, or you can host your people with. So very, very good. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything there. I know I missed stuff because it doesn't show up, so it's all good. I'm going to talk about seed oils today because this isn't a connection that I feel like people are not making when it comes to being able to literally deal with your insulin resistance. Like, we don't understand the impact. So first I want to start with like the impact, and then we're going to go backwards just a tiny bit, and I'll help you to understand maybe how you can just deal with it. Because when we are eating seed oils on a regular basis, it's highly, highly increasing your inflammation in your body, and highly increasing the effects, the negative effects that you don't want. Okay. So by looking at this, you can decide, then we'll talk about like what foods they're in. Because come on, we all know. I kind of dog a little bit on one, like The tastiest sauce ever is like the Chick-fil-A sauce, but these all have seed oils in them. And that's just really not very helpful to us. So number one is chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation, seed oils are soybean and canola and vegetable, etc. Chronic inflammation. And you know why, because this is how this happened. Maybe you don't know this. Do you know where seed oils came from? Coconut oil, you know, right? You cut up one of coconut oil, you get the coconut, you get the oil from the coconut. Avocado oil, you take avocados, you mash avocados, you extract the oil. Olive oil, you take a bunch of olives and you mash them and you extract the olive oil. Okay, but wait a second. What about when it's a grain? Soybean, canola, vegetable, like where's all this oil coming from? Well, let me tell you, because this has a very, people don't know this, how this goes. Seed oils such as canola, soybeans, and corn oil have a contentious history that begins in the early 20th century. Originally, these oils were byproducts used in industrial processes like lubricants and machine oils. Did you guys know that? When manufacturers discovered that refining techniques could make them edible, they began marketing seed oils for human consumption due to their low cost and long shelf life. However, their impact on health has been heavily scrutinized. Seed oils are highly processed and they are rich in omega-6s. This is why the body struggles with seed oils, which when consumed excessively can lead to chronic inflammation. Unlike natural, less processed fats, these oils excessively can lead to chronic inflammation. These oils are often chemically treated, deodorized, and subjected to high heat, altering their structure and making them harder for the body to process. The unnatural ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 can disrupt cellular health and promote metabolic dysfunction, contributing to insulin resistance. So I talk about this all the time. This is a conversation. When I talk about the trio, when I talk about targeting your supplementation, I'm talking about helping you on a cellular level. So like if you do an injection, a GLP-1 injection, basically what that's doing is it's knocking on the door of your pancreas, trying to get your pancreas to create more insulin. But when you use targeted supplementation and you can help your body at a cellular level from the inside out, you can get a completely different result. Omega-6s are in freaking everything. Seed oils are in everything. And if it's true that 67% of the diet that we are feeding our children is ultra processed, they're eating a lot of seed oils. A lot. They're in everything. They're in the creamer that you probably put in your coffee this morning. They're in the granola bar that you had for lunch. They're in the sauce that you had at Chick-fil-A. They're in everything. Like even McDonald's went from frying their French fries in beef tallow like a long time ago, and they started frying in seed oils. And they did that obviously a very long time ago, right? So it would be nice if they went back to beef tallow. But anyway, because that's actually a real food. But let's go on and just talk about for just a second what happens. So chronic inflammation. The high levels of omega-6 fatty acids in seed oils promote chronic, low-grade inflammation in the body. This inflammation is a root cause of many diseases, including arthritis, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic disorders. Effect on daily life. Chronic inflammation can result in joint pain, fatigue, and a decreased ability to recover from minor injuries or stress, making daily activities more tiring and painful. So inflammation is such a big deal. Carla, good morning. Yes, ghee and tallow are also good too. Avocado has a high heat tolerance. It does. Yes. I love that you know that, Carol. That is amazing. Or Carla, that is amazing. And it's true. I love that. Okay. So insulin resistance and blood sugar spikes. So regular consumption of seed oils can impair how the body processes insulin. Good morning. Thank you for that. You're awesome. Penny, good to see you. Ruth says, follow the money, lots of seed oils and fast food. That is true. Oh boy, is that true. So just think about that. So we're just kind of like, going along on our little way. And we think that, all of the convenience food, and they market it as healthy or heart healthy or whatever they're marketing it for. And if we're actually taking it, we think that we're like maybe we're eating something with oatmeal, or we're eating something and we believe that this is healthy, but with all of the seed oils in it, actually it can impair how the body processes insulin. Why are we on this hamster wheel, right? We wonder like, why I'm eating healthy. I hear this all the time in my DMs from you guys. I'm eating healthy, but we don't consider what does healthy really mean. Maybe we should do a live on that. Good morning, Suzette. Good to see you. This means that glucose is not effectively taken up by your cells, leading to insulin resistance and potentially progressing to type 2 diabetes. Insulin resistance can cause fluctuations in energy levels, brain fog, and difficulty concentrating. It can also make it harder to manage weight, leading to frustration and challenges with maintaining an active lifestyle. Oh, that's probably why Maria Marks said, seed oils potentially are more of an issue than sugar for type 2 diabetes. And that is a very, very large thought process of a claim, right? Number 3, cell membrane dysfunction. Remember, we want to deal with everything from a cellular level. We've got to get our cells healthy again. We have to get the inside of our body, the inside of our engines healthy so that we can actually function. I was listening this morning to a brief TikTok, and they were talking about, let me see if I pull this one kind of out of my mind a little bit. Just talking about basic nutritional deficiencies and how, and I talk about this a lot, you guys, because that's a part of what the trio helps with, filling in those nutritional deficiencies. And he was talking about Steve Jobs. And he said, Steve Jobs had kidney stones. And he said he had been a vegetarian most of his life. And he messed around with like being a fruitarian, etc. And he said, you know what? I really do believe that had he dealt with some simple nutritional deficiencies, that could have changed the course of his trajectory. But we don't know. So I talked about like, what if God actually made this way more simple than we're making it? We do not have prescription deficiencies. There is no such thing. You do not have a MET. And, I just speak in code. You don't have a MET deficiency in your body. But you could have magnesium deficiency, a chromium deficiency, an iodine deficiency, simple things, right? That's why we talk about targeting your supplementation to get you up and running again, like get all those synapses firing again. Good morning, Miss Magda. How are you? The only oils you use are avocado oil and extra virgin olive oil. Never tried ghee or tallow. Yep. Well, you probably don't even have to, but you could. And so, yeah, good morning to you. All right. So cell membrane dysfunction. Seed oils are incorporated into the lipid bilayers of cells, making these membranes less stable. Hold on. And more susceptible to oxidative damage. This compromises cellular integrity and communication. So, right? So we're trying to get those synapses, and I know that's a brain thing, but, just follow me, track with me. We're trying to get that communication going between the cells, right? So what happens is when you have impaired cell function, you can slow down your metabolic processes. What a freaking bummer. Raise your hand if you want your metabolism to be slower. Raise them high, girls. You can slow down your metabolic processes, contributing to premature aging and reduced overall energy levels, leaving a person feeling sluggish and less resilient. Okay, see? What about if the nutrients can't get in the cell because something is wrong with the receptors that block it from getting into the cell? And you read that. Yeah, I feel like that's probably, this is why this is a multifaceted conversation. There is no one. It's just like I spoke to somebody the other day yesterday or the day before in my DMs, and we're like, okay, let's back up your bus. according to what you're telling me, all of the factors that are playing, let's start with your gut. Let's get your gut going. And Lisa, that's what we've talked about too. Like, let's do the gut primer and a probiotic. And let's do that first so that you actually can absorb your nutrients, right? And you're right. Like, you have to stop. There's a piece where you stop everything over here, like the seed oils, the high sugar intake, the grain, like stop things over here. And then you do replenish over here. And over time, you can absolutely make a difference. And you can do things that are high antioxidant to help reduce that oxidative stress. And so there are things like when you guys hear me talk about like the fat burner, the blood moral orange, that is actually a high antioxidant. You want things like that to reduce that visceral fat and to also like help with that oxidative stress. There are so many things that you can do beneficially to your internal engine so that you actually can become more receptive in your cells. So that's a really great question. But it can slow down your metabolic processes if you have impaired cell function, premature aging, reduce your overall energy levels, and leaving you sluggish and less resilient. That's really just frustrating. And those are things that I feel like we just can't, we're like this, we're trying to put our finger on something and we're like, I just can't put my finger on it. I just don't feel as good as I used to. I just don't feel as energetic as I used to. Why am I like, and you're trying to put your finger on it. Did I eat gluten the other day? Did I, whatever? And it could actually just be an overall cellular sluggishness. That is really frustrating because you're like questioning yourself all the time then. Weight gain and difficulty losing weight. Well, this is what we talk about all the time, people. This is what we talk about. So the inflammatory properties and high caloric density of seed oils contribute to weight gain. So particularly in visceral fat that surrounds your organs and worsens your metabolic health. That visceral fat, you guys, that surrounds your organs, let's just stop the insanity. We have to stop this. The high levels of fatty liver that we have in our country, pancreatic cancer, this visceral fat wraps around your intestines and your internal organ universe. And this is why I'm so happy when somebody starts on the trio, because I know you're dealing with your liver. When somebody gets on the gut primer, you start taking the gut primer, you're helping your liver function. That makes me so happy, because the truth is that we have to stop this. The fat around our organs, this visceral fat, like if you're taking the blood orange, if you're already taking that, number one, measure yourself so that you can see decreasing in your hip and your waist, like do that, measure. But know this, that beyond what you can see on the outside, what's happening on the inside is even more amazing. You're 5 years from now, that person of you in the future, 5 years from now, turns around and thanks you for doing what you're doing right now. That's what's happening. Yes, Lisa. I mean, honestly, it's a really big deal. So the inflammatory properties, worsens there's high caloric density of seed oils. They contribute to weight gain, the visceral fat, and it worsens your metabolic health. Weight gain impacts not just your physical health, but also your self-esteem and mental well-being. We know this. Difficulty in losing weight despite efforts can lead to frustration and a diminished sense of control over one's health. I do talk to you guys kind of a lot about that in my messages, because it does get frustrating and you're like, why isn't it working for me? Why isn't something moving? Why isn't something? And this is where we get you get to give yourself the gift of assessing your own, like what you're eating or the stress levels that are in your life, or, you might be dealing with effects of a lot of prescription medications that you're working through and your liver is trying to process all of this, etc. And so again, though, 5 years from now, you'll be so grateful that you did what you did now because you spent the time to assess your world. I'm just saying, like, that was the best gift that I gave myself, was when I decided I was going to pay attention to my food ingredients. And I've said it before, I didn't talk to anybody else about it. I basically just sat there and thought to myself, what are the foods that I actually really like? And how can I eat the foods that I really like and make them better? make them healthier. Like I didn't know what that meant, but in my head, this is what I was saying. And I began to just do one ingredient at a time. And I really did. I asked myself things like, do you really like that? Or is that just something you eat? I just assumed that being a foodie, because hello, Italian foodie right here, I just assumed that I liked all food. And that's not true. It's not true. I didn't like all food. I mean, good enough to eat it, but was it really what I was craving or needing? I walked through the grocery store last night and I realized if you listen to your body, if you actually take time to listen to your body, and I'm not saying I'm really good at this, I'm just saying I've gotten better. And I don't do this all the time. I just happened to notice it last night because I was super low on groceries. Like I haven't been that low in a really long time. Have you ever gotten there? We kind of were out of town and then we're planning an event and I just haven't taken the time, blah, blah, blah. I walked through the grocery store and now I already dismiss like 98% of everything that's sold in the store. Most aisles are not for me because I'm grain, legume, and sugar-free. I don't want all of the crap. You cannot talk me out of feeling the way I feel. You cannot convince me that what you have to offer me to eat that is filled with, well, what we're talking about right now, like seed oils. And I'm not saying I never have a seed oil. Of course I do, because if I have a dressing anywhere or if I have a burger that's at a restaurant, I'm just saying in general. But for the most part, you can't talk me out of feeling as terrific as I feel. I feel terrific, terrific. I'm 59. I'll be 60 in January. I wake up. I don't ache. I don't feel like trash because I don't eat like trash. So I'm walking through and it took me a while to get here. So like, just know this. Poster child of sugar addiction, theater, popcorn, milk duds. Okay. Didn't do anything until my early 50s. Does that tell you anything? So I walking through the store and I realized, okay, so my husband said to get some hamburger. Okay, no problem. I'll get some hamburger. And I thought, all right, I'm just going to kind of look around and I thought, do I want pork? I'm not craving any pork. Do I want chicken? Not craving any chicken. I did want beef, and I love the nutrition outlay of beef. Like the density of nutrition in beef is amazing. So I bought my grass-fed hamburger or whatever. And but I was just super curious that nothing else appealed to me. And then I got down to the shrimp and I went, yeah, I'll do shrimp. And I was actually kind of like assessing. I didn't realize I was doing it, but I was like, am I in the mood for it? Do I feel? And if you'll pay attention, you'll even just kind of know maybe some of the things that you need to fill in with, like for nutrition. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Maybe that sounds woo-woo and weird, but I was just noticing that last night because I was so low on groceries and I actually was hungry. So I was kind of like asking myself questions of what actually is appealing, not to my taste buds, to like how it was going to make my body feel. Does that make any sense to anybody? That was not me 10 years ago. I just want you to know that. I'm just curious now is what I am. I'm a curious little person. So brain health. Did you know that seed oils impair your brain health? The pro-inflammatory effects of seed oils may affect brain function over time. Chronic inflammation has been linked to mood disorders, cognitive decline. And when my mom had Alzheimer's for 5 years and we took care of her, yeah, dementia sucks. So I'll do anything to really avoid that. This can lead to increased instances of anxiety, depression, memory issues, all of which can impair performance and social interactions. Did you know that highly inflammatory seed oils, a lot of omega-6, can also affect your skin and hair issues? Inflammation and oxidative stress from seed oil consumption can affect skin health, contributing to acne, premature aging, and dryness. Dull or inflamed skin and weakened hair health can impact confidence and the way a person presents themselves socially and professionally. And then heart disease. So once again, what's increasing heart disease? Is it red meat? No, that's not what I see in my research literally ever. I see insulin resistance. I see seed oils. I see inflammation. Anyway, make sure I'm not missing anything there. So while some believe that seed oils help lower cholesterol, however, the long-term effect, which anyway, that's another conversation. Long-term effect of high omega-6 consumption is an increased risk of heart disease due to the persistent inflammation and oxidative damage. Cardiovascular issues might not be apparent immediately, but contribute to long-term health risks, reducing the ability to engage in vigorous physical activity and maintain an active lifestyle. Understanding these impacts highlights why cutting back on seed oils is so important. Okay, so where are you ingesting these? All right, here's your top 10. Top 10 foods containing seed oils. Number 1, packaged snack foods like chips and crackers. Number 2, commercial salad dressings. Number 3, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. I actually don't say mayonnaise. Mayonnaise. Number 4, margarine and spreads. They are so bad for you. Number 5, fried fast foods like fries and chicken. Number 6, processed baked goods like cakes and cookies. 7, frozen foods and prepared meals. 8, sauces and condiments, ketchup and barbecue sauce, etc. 9, granola and energy bars. And number 10, prepackaged deli meats and prepared salads. I thought that was super interesting. I think they're just hiding everywhere. And I know that thinking I'm going to live a life that's perfectly clean, I could, but then I would choose to not eat out. And some people do choose this. They choose to ask those questions before they go somewhere. Do you use seed oils? Do you fry in seed oils, etc.? And some people really do nail that down. I just know that I've reduced considerably. I do not have any in my home. Like, I don't think so. Do I have anything in my house? Not that I eat anyway. It would be very rare if I did. Maybe some stuff for my husband. I don't know. But in general, I don't. And I threw away all of my vegetable oil, canola oil. Just throw it away. Don't even feel bad. That is not wasted money. It's not. It's pennies. Just throw it away. It's trash. Let's talk just one more time how this even happened. It began in the early 20th century. Originally, these oils were byproducts. So they were something that came from something. And they came from the industrial processing of lubricants and machine oil. Like, this is the inception of seed oils. So you have to understand where it came from. It's not like pressing an olive. It's not like pressing avocado or coconut. These were machine oils and lubricants. Are you ever going to wonder again now for the rest of your life why your body can't process this? It's not possible. So the refining techniques make them edible. However, the problem is that they are using so many chemicals in order to get that done, so that it's not rancid, so that it's not toxic, so that it's not all of these things. They're having to run it through many chemical processes in order to get it to the point that it's in your food. This is kind of criminal, just gonna say, capital C. It's a really criminal thought process. And because it is cheap, they put it in everything. So just become a label reader. And the other thing that's cheap, because it's the same crop. So if you're using corn in your vegetable oil and they use corn in the corn syrup and they replace real sugar from sugar cane with corn syrup, and corn is what fattens up the cows, right? Corn syrup. So now you have seed oil and corn syrup in almost everything. And corn syrup is a terrible, horrible, awful ingredient. It's not a normal glucose that can bypass your liver. It has to go through your liver. So if you're drinking a Dr. Pepper or a Coke or most of the foods are going to have both, is really my point. Most of these prepackaged foods will have both a seed oil and a corn syrup. So it's like, okay, walk around the perimeter of your grocery store and look for just real food. Get in the habit. I love the food that I eat. And it is kind of like, I mean, I can look down an aisle and I just kind of, like the cereal aisle, there's nothing there for me. It doesn't exist. Now, I don't care anymore. I used to care, but I don't care anymore. But it's tragic. You have to ask the question, if that's really what our choices are, then why are we so obese and sick and we have insulin resistance and we're type 2 and we're just a mess? And our answers are we're being marketed to by commercials. If you take commercials on one side of the commercial aisle, you're listening to, this is healthy for you. This is heart healthy. This is better for you. It's low fat. It's gluten-free. It's all natural. Organic would be nice, but I mean, it's all of these things. And we think that they're healthy and natural. And then on the other side of the commercial aisle, we have, and this is the script that you should take. And the side effects, of course, are that you're going to lose a limb and you're going to have anal leakage and you're going to you might like have dementia and it's just ridiculous. And we go, oh, okay. And we keep doing the same thing. And we keep doing this with our food supply and the prescription conversation. So I'm not going to lie. I'm extremely excited that if it should happen that RFK, and I've never followed him before until recently when a lot of his information on how he was going to help with the FDA and the NIH and the CDC and all of this stuff, and he was going to hold people accountable. When that started to come out, especially around the Nutrition Roundtable, I paid attention and I went, I had no idea that I just didn't know anything, right? And so now if he does get a position in the government to help with some of these things and to get toxins out of our food supply, especially for our children, because our children are being fed 67% of their diet is artificial, it's processed, 67%. And it's in every school lunch and it's in it's really bad. So we can make a difference though, but we can do it for ourselves first and be the example, right? And that makes the hugest difference of all. So anyway, thank you, Bianca, for liking the live. I so appreciate you. You have no idea. Chosen by Love, thank you for following. I appreciate you. You guys are awesome. So like we always talk about, if you are looking to turn back around your insulin resistance, if you're looking to change the trajectory of what's happening in your body right now, I talk about two things and two things only. I talk about targeted supplementation and balloons on Instagram and changing out your food ingredients. And as an Italian girl, I am telling you, if I can do this, anybody can do this. The only reason I started with targeted supplements is because I did not think I would ever trade out my foods. Like I kind of was like, yeah, it's pretty much not going to happen. I'll figure out something else. That's where I was just a little over 10 years ago, you guys. So just know that you can go back to being super aware of your body like you were when you were a teenager. Do you remember when you were an adolescent and you were aware of everything that was happening to your body and you were really in tune? Most likely you were in tune and you were like paying attention. You knew when you could feel like your period was coming on or whatever. You can go back to that where you can assess yourself. And if you're looking to take your body from resistant to sensitive, I started with 3 supplements. I kept it very easy because I just didn't know anything. I still take them to this day because there's no magic. There's no hype. These are basic understandings of how to get your engine running and maintained. It's like getting your oil changed. So when I talk about the trio, which are the 3 supplements that help with insulin sensitivity, I'm talking about let's help your insulin and your sugars to come down. Take that 3 times a day. Let's help your liver. I need to wear that shirt again. Love your liver. Because if you can get your liver to function, if your liver is tired and toxic, you can't lose fat. It's your fat metabolizing organ. If your sugars and your insulin are high, you can't lose fat. You can't lose weight. You're stuck because insulin is a hormone. It's a fat storing hormone. So it doesn't work. And then if you have visceral fat, I know you can go to the doctor and find out how much you have, but whatever. Like most people aren't thinking about that. And so I want to help my visceral fat and my metabolism. Somebody's saying that they can't hear me on Instagram. Can somebody on Instagram let me know whether or not you can hear me? And if you don't say anything, I'll know. That's how I'll know, because it could be my mic. So I want to make sure if somebody can hear me that you let me know. I think maybe you can, because there are people hanging out. And so you would leave if you couldn't hear me. But anyway, if you could let me know, that'd be great. Stuff happens. Okay. So if you're looking for the trio, golly, don't sabotage yourself. You can hear me. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate you very much for letting me know. I kind of thought so, because nobody else was dropping off. So sometimes it's just our own phones and stuff. We're going through the books, Self-Sabotage No More, in the group Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Up here for TikTok, there's my site. There's a Facebook blue button. Every day I go live here at 10 a.m. We talk about insulin resistance. That is free. The group, it is free. The challenge that starts on Monday, we do one a month. That is free. When you get into the group, you'll get tagged in a PDF of recipes and pantry ideas. That is free. Like, get yourself resourced. Okay. And if you have, I think I posted something about how somebody said, they've been watching me for a year and they're finally trying the trio and whatever. Don't sabotage yourself if you know that you need to take steps. It is not required of you to be perfect at the moment that you take supplements. Do you have to fix the food that got you into the pickle to begin with? Yes, you do. I am not going to lie to you and tell you that you can supplement bad food choices. No, we do have to switch things out. That's what I teach in the group. I love teaching that because I was the least likely, if you looked at my Facebook picture, my high school yearbook picture. Oh, I should find that. Least likely to ever give up her Italian way of eating. It took me a while, right? But it's okay. Give yourself permission for a little bit of a journey. And if you are really needing to take things to if you know that your nutrient absorption isn't there, that things have not been what you need them to be for your own body, and you need gut help, that's the gut primer and the probiotic. This is the gut primer right here. 6 different blends completely changes the way that your gut is functioning, bringing down inflammation, increasing nutrient absorption, helping you to digest, getting the pre and the postbiotics in you, getting the fiber in you, moving your impacted waste. Such an important conversation. Your gut, which is your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, and your colon, is determining your hormone balance, your hormone function, the hormone that tells you that you're full. Your GLP-1 is a hormone. Your cortisol is a hormone. Your insulin is a hormone. Too much estrogen, all of these things. So you can change a lot by changing your gut from the inside out. And then you're going to want to grab a probiotic if you're not on a good one already, because they did not put a probiotic in here so that you wouldn't kill it, because you don't want to kill it. You can heat this, by the way, if you want to. But anyway, those are really, I do talk to you guys about a lot of different stuff, like people who want to do fat burning, or people who need to get inflammation down, and you need an excellent turmeric. A lot of turmerics are not absorbable into your body. Turmeric is just not a super bioavailable ingredient. So if you really want to feel the difference of what it feels like to have something actually absorb into your system and do what it's supposed to do, this is definitely a turmeric, probably unlike anything you've ever tried. Taking 400 milligrams of the turmeric that I take is like taking 6,000 milligrams of another brand. It's amazing. So even last weekend, I know My sciatic was not happy. And I know that's a chiropractor issue. And so I went to the chiropractor when I came home, but we were in a hotel last weekend, and the hotel, the place was beautiful. It was really wonderful. The beds were super soft. Oh my stars. So I don't know if you know your sleep number. Does anybody know their sleep number? When we had a sleep number bed, which I don't right now, I was a 60. And my husband was like 99.8. He would get in bed, he would lay down and he would go, and because you touch the button and it releases some air, he'd go, okay. Like, you are crazy. Just sleep on the floor. And I was like down to a 60. And 60 was always really good for me, 60 to 65. But when you get really low, that was not my number. So I sleep and I'm like, I'm frustrated, whatever. So by the time I hit Saturday night, because we had been there for a couple of days, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. I popped 2 turmeric. And the next morning, wow, I woke up, I felt so good because I just brought down the inflammation around that area and it felt so good. And so instead of popping IB all the time, you could be doing something way more natural. But anyway, I digress. I get very excited about God giving us answers so that we can actually function at a higher level. And I want to avoid the medical matrix as much as possible. My dad, he took the route of medicine, and he had a lazy Susan of meds when he died. That morning after he died, that was the first thing that was taking place in my world. My mom was crying about the fact that he had so much medication. He was only 63. So much medication, and it was taking up so much space. And she would, John, clean up your meds. Like, John, they're everywhere. John, they're in the way, whatever. And she's weeping because she had been so hard on him about that. You have these, irrational sorrows when you're grieving and it's fresh. And I'm like, oh, Mom, it's okay, all that stuff. Well, that always stuck in my head. And eventually I went, so if he was on all of those meds and he had never been diagnosed with a terminal diagnosis like cancer, why is he dead? Like, somebody explain this to me. And that was kind of the beginning of my internal questioning of the entire system and what we're being taught and what we're being told. And I had been told that type 2 was genetic and there was really nothing you could do about it. So here on our Italian side of the family, we had lots of obesity and lots of type 2 diabetes. And basically, that was the way that it was. So when my dad needed a kidney and I was a match, the University of Minnesota said, oh yeah, no, you won't be giving him a kidney because type 2 is genetic. And I'm like, oh. So because of that information in my 20s, he died when I was 30. I basically was like, well, kind of que sera, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I mean, it's kind of genetic, right? So I lived my best life, which is not true, gaining weight, exhausted. I remember napping on the living room floor. We actually homeschooled for like 20 years. And I remember like napping on the living room floor in the sun. I was exhausted because I was literally going sweet, salty, sweet, salty, sweet, salty, lots of white flour, lots of white sugar, lots of starchy vegetables, lots of like everything opposite of what I do now. And by the time I hit my 40s, that's when Mom, Kirsten, seriously, what are you doing? Do you even go to the doctor? Do you even know what your sugars are? Like, do you pay attention? Like, what's wrong with you? You're like, your dad is dead. You know how he died, right? Like, hello. So because she bugged me enough, praise God, for real, I'm so grateful for her nagging in my life in my 40s as an adult, because she really was constantly reminding me, like, if you're drinking water all the time, if you're thirsty all the time, if you're peeing all the time. And so for me, it kept me just scared enough because my dad's life was sores on his legs that wouldn't heal. Thank you so much for all the likes and sharing. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. sores on his legs that wouldn't heal. He was constantly soaking his feet in Epsom salts, constantly. And he was constantly doctoring, constantly medicating, constantly having procedures. His entire life was, he was diagnosed with type 2 at 35, and between 35 and 63, he was in the hospital, emergency angiograms, heart disease, pacemaker, quadruple bypass surgery, kidney dialysis. It was a constant stream of doing this. 35 diagnosed, let's get you on all of the meds that we can possibly get you on. That was my dad's life. How dumb is that? How stupid is that? He was not diagnosed with cancer. I could understand that, right? You do need a team of docs to help you. You do need people to navigate this world of kind of whatever. Insulin resistance is reversible. It is turnaroundable. I am not a doctor. I am just an Italian chick who figured it out. And when I did, I was like, are you kidding me right now? What are you even telling me right now? I remember reading, I have a whole stack right up here on my bookshelf of Maria Emmerich books. I remember her reading her information going, this can't possibly be true. And it is. And the longer I come on here and talk about this, and the more that I'm the geek that I am, and I research information and I study stuff and I pay attention and whatever, the more I'm like, I mean, we have been duped, Ola. Duped. When you are type 2 and you go to a provider and they tell you that you can have 150 grams of carbs a day, run. Just run away. Decide that you can be a better advocate for your body than they're telling you. They're giving you permission. And that happened. That's a real story that happened to like a connection of mine. Type 2 goes to the doctor. I can't get my sugars under control anymore, even though I'm on this pill and I'm doing this, whatever. And literally the diabetic nutritionist told her, you're fine. You can have 150 grams of carbs a day. You only have to go from this pill to this injection. That's the wrong answer. And I'm sorry, but if those are the conversations you're having, literally just be like, wrong answer. I'm going to go fix this myself. What the heck? We are more sick, more obese, and more medicated than we have ever been. We have to ask why. If living in the 21st century is so freaking amazing, and we have the most freaking amazing medicine and scientific discoveries and studies coming out of our wazoo, why are we so sick? We have to ask these questions. Gayla, nice to see you. Nice to meet you. So, Maria Emmerich, Emmerich. Maria Emmerich, her and her husband, Craig. And I think that the book, well, any of her cookbooks have tons of amazing information on the front end. But the one book that I think is the only book she has that's like kind of her glossary, so to speak, her kind of her like overview, it's literally called Keto, Keto. And it just has amazing information. But because of the onset of the internet, like I was doing all of my changes without a lot of this. There was no live video. This is only like, I started 10 years ago. 9 years ago, 10, doesn't matter. Short of my 51st birthday is when I started trading out my foods. And now I'm short of my 60th birthday. So 9 years. But there was no live video like this. So you can readily find so much good information now out there that they're trying to suppress. You guys, okay, I'll tell you this and I'll wrap up. Yesterday, I found out on my Instagram. So there's was it Dr. James? I think it was a post by Dr. James. I can't remember his last name. And I had just shared his post. And his post was basically something like this. Oh, I wish I had it so that I want to give it. It was just a text. And it said, that basically salt is not the issue. Salt doesn't cause high blood pressure. Salt, I wish I could remember. It's basic information that I read now at now in this part in my journey. And I'm like, oh yeah, totally. He's right. Like, this is not the culprit. This is the culprit, because they keep trying to tell us that this is the problem when it's really not. And that's why I come on here and talk about insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is the problem, not all of the other peripheral things they're trying to tell you about. Instagram flagged it. This felt like, I'm not kidding you, this felt like 2020 censorship again. That's what that felt like. Fact checkers say this is not true. And I'm like, excuse me? And then I didn't double check to see if they took it down, but you definitely couldn't access it. I'm like, what are you, what? So what? We don't have the right? We don't have the right to decide for ourselves, to think for ourselves as to what's going on in our body and how to fix it? Are you freaking kidding me? And it was just a reminder of why I come on here and talk in code. Because there's a lot of power. There's a lot of power. PHARMA, a lot of power. Because if they can keep you on meds, then you are a customer for life. And if you actually fix things by filling in nutritional deficiencies, if you actually fix things and you don't have to go back, they've lost a customer. It's criminal. We need salt, the real stuff, or the man-made. I totally agree. We do. And we need our electrolytes. Do you know how many simple symptoms can be helped by just making sure that you get enough magnesium? These are simple things, and they want us to think that we have to go to a provider, that we have to take their advice, that we have to, and I'm not saying that providers are bad. Please don't read into that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if this is my premise, if insulin resistance is not a terminal diagnosis, then what are we even doing? Why are we making this so difficult if it's reversible? Just crazy. When you go to the doctor's office, the form you sign says you will do what they say, read the details. So yeah, scary. I know. Look at my living room. I'm putting together an event. I don't know if you can see that or not. We're putting together like bundles, product bundles. Providers are a good starting point. Sure. Yeah. I mean, get your baselines, get your labs, but then know how to deal with that yourself. And you know what? By the time they tell you that your glucose is high in your blood, long before that, your insulin has been high and they have not been testing that for you. You need a fasting insulin test. So if you really want to help work with your insulin resistance at the very base level, because everything else comes from that, everything else is stacking on top of that, then deal with your insulin resistance and go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. Bring it back. Bring it back. That's what I started working on 9 years ago, little over 10 years ago. Bring it back, because then your body can start to function. Okay. So we're not talking about magic this and magic that and a quick fix here and no, we're talking about like, let's go on a little bit of a healing journey. It's not as hard as you thought it was. It's not as mountainous as you thought it was. It's actually super simple. It might actually keep people thinking like, wait a minute, if it was that simple, why wouldn't everybody be doing it? I mean, I'm just telling you. So, and if you're not in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, get in the group. On TikTok, there's my site there, so you can find the Facebook blue button. Get in there. Get tagged in the free recipe pantry PDF. Next week on Monday, the 11th, we'll do another 5-day challenge. Actually, it'll be a 4-day. Hold on, I gotta do something on TikTok. It'll be a 4-day, Monday through Thursday. We'll do ingredient trade outs. We'll do like information on insulin resistance. We'll do a recipe. We'll do my pantry and my fridge reveal. We'll do all of the things. And your November can look completely different. And then you can nail the month of November. And then in December, we'll do another challenge. And then in January, we'll do another challenge. You can be on a completely different track to run on through the holidays, landing on your feet in January and taking off. And when you can get your sugars and your insulin down, this is what I'm teaching, you can lose weight finally. And that's what I did. I lost 3 sizes in my 50s. The healing journey is one step at a time. Continue and success will follow. Yes, 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 yes. One step at a time, one ingredient at a time, one recipe at a time. Stop being unkind to yourself. Stop requiring your body to like fix itself right now. Like, come on, body. Go, go, go. Like, how come the scale isn't moving? How come this isn't changing? How come that? I just got rid of my scale like 6 years ago. And I'm like, I'm going to measure myself. I'm going to pay attention to like what I'm putting into my body. How is it making me feel? Am I sleeping better? Where's my stress at? I'm going to like pay attention. And you are giving yourself the best gift you could ever give yourself. And 5 years from now, and I've been saying this, but 5 years from now, I want you to think like, so whatever happened to that Kirsten person who was like really helping me to be on a track where I learned how to fish, where I learned how to actually take care of my body, to not just take supplements, just to take supplements like because of a Facebook ad or an Amazon find or a girlfriend down the street started this thingamajig from the drugstore, but to actually target your supplementation for insulin resistance so that you can turn back all of the other things. If you turn back insulin resistance, your energy gets better, your mental clarity gets better, your inflammation decreases, you're all of a sudden feeling like more energetic and you can move better. Oh, and then all of a sudden you're finally able to lose weight. You're finally able to like reduce risk factors. People get off of high blood pressure meds. They get off of anti-anxiousness things. They get off of STATINSs. They get off of, you name it, just boom, 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 boom. Because insulin resistance is this little peg right here. It's literally the chair of it's the leg of the one-legged stool. It's the trunk of the tree, and the rest of the tree is here, and it goes up. Gout, PCOS, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, HBP, stroke, like boom, 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 boom. That's what is happening. Your body is like misfiring. Your hormones, insulin is a hormone, and it's affecting all the other hormones. Boom. You can change that. You can turn it around. It's amazing. We've raised our kids to always be aware what your body is telling you, what is needed. That is so good. That is so good. And that's kind of a goal of mine. And I don't know how to implement that 100% yet, but I have grandbabies. They're 3, 2, and 8 months old. And I want to be a different voice to them than the voice that was given to me, because the voice that was given to me was eat, manja, manja, eat, eat. Eat for comfort, eat for celebration, eat because you're sad, just eat. Then when you gain weight, you really need to lose weight. Then when you lose weight, don't you get too skinny now. I want to be a different voice to my grandbabies than was to me, because the way that I grew up led to an awful lot of obesity and type 2 diabetes. And now, and I'm not making claims, I'm just telling you my story, because I did this. I'm the only one in my family that has avoided type 2 diabetes. I'm the only one. I don't mean my greater Italian family. I mean my immediate family, because I can't speak for everybody. But I'm the only one. No type 2, no meds. I'll be 60 in January. I did this, and then I took my own journey, and I gave myself permission to trade out my ingredients. And I didn't tell anybody about it because I needed to be done with the food pushers and the people who didn't understand what I was trying to accomplish. And I had to finally decide that other people's opinions of me and what I was eating or not eating or doing or not doing was none of my business. It was their problem, and it was coming from their need to have me eat their food. And that's a word for one of you out there for the holidays. just because they're excited about what they made and their tradition and they're this and they're that, and they want you to eat it so that they can feel good about themselves, it's not your problem. Okay? You can learn how to say things like, you know what? No, thank you. I am so full right now, but I will let you know. And you don't have to tell anybody anything about what's going on in your head, about how you're just going to work through it. You don't have to tell anybody. Okay? Like, give yourself permission to be on this journey and to really do this year differently. And then next year, when you do it again, meaning like you have a whole year under your belt of really taking care of, you open up the hood of your car and you take care of your engine, you start to make it function differently. After a whole year of that, then what happens is you go into next Christmas even stronger. It took me probably about 3 holiday seasons to really kind of like simmer down, because there's so much emotion connected with, you're so excited about maybe you just love being able to get together with family. Maybe you just love the traditional foods that are being offered. Maybe you just love whatever. And I've just had to learn how to like make my own variations, shut down the noise of the food pushers. And I've gotten better and better and better. And now I know how to navigate it so much more than I ever was. And you can do the same thing too. Thank you so much, Bianca. I appreciate you more than you know. All right. You guys have a super amazing, blessed day. I'll be back here 10 a.m. tomorrow, Central Standard Time. And then Monday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. We will start next week. It's going to be a 4-day challenge. It's free, you guys. It's free, but it can resource you and encourage you, and you can be a part of your own journey then, right? Like you can begin to become your own advocate. It's very exciting. Very exciting. I'm just telling you, you don't even know. You'll feel so good about yourself. You'll be so proud of yourself for taking steps in a different direction and navigating the holidays completely different. For everybody who's doing the gut reset, like you're doing the primer and the probiotic, and if you need that, just let me know. Let me know you need the cart for the gut reset. Bye-bye, Carol. Have a wonderful day. If you need that, like I'm telling you, you will have a different November, December automatically, because you're going to be like not having fallout from all of the parties and, you know, as you're making decisions and stuff like that. I'm just telling you, keep that impacted waste moving. That's one of the benefits. So, all right, have a fantastic day. Terrific day. See you guys later. Love you guys.